Hey guys, welcome back to Discover Springford. I'm standing in front of Nelson's Ice Cream Store, located on Main Street in Royersford Borough. The Nelson name has been synonymous with the Royersford area for over 75 years. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to sit down with owners Patrick and Amanda Nelson to discuss that legacy and what it's like to operate a business in their hometown. I'm Geoff, a local realtor, aspiring actor, and transplant to the Springford area. And I'm on a mission to find the best that Springford has to offer. I'll be interviewing local business owners, civil servants, and other prominent members of the community to find out what makes Springford a great place to live, work, eat, and explore. I invite you to join me on my journey as I discover Springford. I'm sitting in Nelson's Ice Cream Store with Patrick and Amanda and little baby Fitzgerald, his first on-camera appearance. So, guys, thanks for spending a few minutes with me on Discover Springford. I really appreciate the time.
Yeah, no problem.
So, let's dive in. Tell me a little bit about how, where you guys grew up and how you came together and became the owners of Nelson's Ice Cream Store.
You go first with yours. Childhood. Guess where you grew up.
Well, I grew up in the city in South Philly, and then I moved and I lived in Hatboro for a while, and then went to Hatboro, Horsham, and then I moved to Douglasville.
Oh, okay.
Kind of like we're Reading, like close to
Right.
Reading, yeah.
So you went way out.
I went way out, yeah.
Yeah.
And then I met him.
Okay.
In high school, yeah.
Yeah, she was a senior and I just graduated, and we were actually working at Nike.
Yeah, we met at Nike.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Did you guys go to high school together?
No,
or
we
you
did
just
not.
met during that time? Okay.
Yeah,
I
we
was
worked
gonna say.
together.
So what was going from South Philly to Douglasville like? I know you had Hatboro in the middle there. Did that prepare you for moving
No.
out to Douglasville?
No,
Yeah.
completely self-taught.
Right.
No, it was very different. I moved around a lot, I guess,
Okay.
growing up. So,
Yeah.
and I wasn't in Douglasville long. I was only there for a year.
Okay.
So.
Yeah,
Yeah,
before
it
we
was
came
short.
here, we had a short layover in East Narrton for about a year and a half from in between Lansdale and here. So I know what it's like to kind of be like,
Yeah, just
you're
popping
moving,
in,
you're popping in, and it's hard to lay down roots
Yeah.
for too long.
Yeah.
So you guys met. You said
Yeah,
you were
went-
already graduated.
Yeah, I was graduated, she was a senior, and I had a little part-time job while I was still working at the ice cream plant at Nike.
Okay.
And yeah, we worked together there, and through working at Nike, we kind of,
Yeah, of
years
course.
later, here we
Yeah.
are.
Long story short,
Yeah.
you guys have kids.
Yeah.
As a cute one as Fitzgerald is right here. So I guess you used to work at the plant. You said.
Yeah, I grew
Okay.
up, I've always been from Royersford. I've never left the town. I actually grew up on Main Street and
Okay.
always been involved in the factory. I grew up working inside of the factory my whole life. Going into school, as soon as I got done school, I'd walk to the factory.
Yeah.
Summer times, it was always a summertime job. And as soon as I turned 16, I was driving the trucks for him in the summertime, and after school helping on the assembly lines. And we grew up kind of very blue collar,
Right.
working on the assembly line and stuff.
Sure. So you kind of were always in the business. I would say.
I didn't really have a choice of
Right.
I
you understood this wasn't something that you were coming to sight unseen or
Yeah,
without.
it was
a
kind
background,
of
so.
ice cream. Kind of always just kind of ran in my blood.
Yeah. You don't look like it though. I would say
Yeah.
you spent your life around dairy products.
Me and my dad are very skinny, but there's 4 of us, and my 3 siblings, they didn't really have much of an interest in the factory or what was going on in it, and their lives kind of took them separate directions. And as the youngest of them, the burden kind of got shifted on to me of whether or not we wanted to, continue working with it. So, fortunately, my dad's probably one of my best friends. So
That's good.
It wasn't a decision that I ever regretted or anything. It was more or less something that I really felt passionate about and really wanted to do.
So now, what happened to transfer things? As you had mentioned before we started taping, that the factory is a separate entity from the store. How did the store come to be, and how long has it been in existence?
Well, the store's been here actually since about 2001, and it's a property that we leased out. And there used to be a baker by the name of Steve who actually passed away from cancer, and he did a great job running the business, and it was a nice marriage with baked goods and stuff. So the store was around for a little while, and then about 2012, the factory started to become a financial burden to try to keep it running. So my dad was, playing around with finding somebody to sell it to or partner with. So around that point, we had our first kid in 2012, Evelyn, and then it was kind of, the store was a property that I kind of thought in my head could solidify me still doing ice cream, regardless of what would happen to the factory.
Right.
So my dad kind of felt the same way and said it would be a great opportunity for me and Amanda to kind of have a solid career for, and stay in the family business in case whatever would happen to the factory.
Yeah.
So having said that, he did wind up finding a partner and selling a large portion of the factory. So that is also why we're very adamant of letting people know we're not part of we're not the same company.
Yeah, it's not the Nelson's name is more of just a name with their factory before, as opposed to this is more about this is the history of the Nelson family.
Yeah.
It's kind of passed on into the store as opposed to the factory.
Yes.
It's hard for some people to understand just because we're right across the street.
Right.
You get some customers that come in and say, "How are you out of this flavor? Don't you make it?" It's like, no, I don't make it right now. I'm just like any other ice cream parlor. If I'm out of it, they're closed. Like,
right.
I have to get my delivery like everybody else. So it can be frustrating, but it kind of comes down to it. It's called the Nelson's Ice Cream Store because our last name's Nelson.
Right.
And it doesn't really pertain to Nelson's ice cream being made across the street. So it is, it's confusing for a lot of people, especially since we've been in the town for 4 generations. It's something that their grandparents know and their great-grandparents know, so they just kind of associate.
Right.
It's,
and they're not aware of the ins and outs of corporate intrigue and negotiation of business partnerships and all that stuff. Yeah. I would think it's similar to like the Turkey Hill or something like that. I mean, if they're out of ice cream, it's not like they have it being made in the back. They have to get it from Turkey Hill Farms.
Yeah, you have to wait for your delivery. And,
Yeah, so it's kind of, a similar thing. It's not like you can just walk across the street, knock on the door and say, I need more pumpkin pie seasonal ice cream or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
So. But it is nice though because we are the Nelson's Ice Cream Store, so that means we have pretty much all the flavors and everything that Nelson's makes.
Right.
So as opposed to any other ice cream parlor that sells Nelson's ice cream.
We do have a good, close relationship.
Yeah, that's good. So I would say, Nelson's obviously, I'm sure their ice cream is, they have distribution and all that kind of stuff. But in terms of your relationship with them, you are the primary. I mean, you're right across the street. You would. If, like you had said, if people want like a specialty flavor, they could come here before they could go to like a Wawa or somebody, somewhere else, a store that's selling Nelson's ice cream.
We are like the face of the factory for the town.
Right.
It's like you can't walk over there and just walk in and grab whatever you want. So we are like the outlet that they have to be able to sell it in the town that they manufactured in.
Which is great.
So it's
a lot
a close
of times,
marriage
they don't have that.
They have together.
A lot of times there's industrial businesses, but they don't have that like storefront operation where they can really feel like they're closely connected. And a lot of times they come in, businesses come in, independent of the town just because of the tax breaks or something like that. But Nelson's has been here for how long did you say?
Well,
the original Nelson's, I should say.
Yeah, we've been making ice cream out of the factory there since 1937.
Wow.
And before that, we were Nelson's Creamery, which was our dairy farms. Which our dairy was actually processed in Jeffersonville.
Okay.
And then
that's where I was for a little while, a short time. We were in East Norriton, not far.
Yeah, same town, And then my family always lived in Royersford, and then as the company started to evolve, they got rid of the farms, they got rid of the dairy processing plant, and started to expand on the warehouse that they had down here in town here.
Yeah, I would imagine there's a lot of overhead to operate a full farm and all that.
Well, what really came about was around the mid-30s, they started to invent refrigeration.
Right.
And so back then you had a dairyman in every single town. You had milk delivery going to everybody's house. So every town had their own. Maybe even had 2 dairies in it that was delivering your milk to. And then as they started to invent refrigerators, and that became a household item, and you didn't just have an ice box where you had, the dairies had to start figuring out ways to stay ahead of the curve. And with refrigeration coming around, it made ice cream a pretty easy change over. A pretty easy step ahead.
Were your grandfather, the Nelsons, were they also delivering dairy, door to door? So a lot of people who were born and raised here, they probably come in and be like, "Oh, your uncle or whoever used to drop off my milk," or
we get a lot of those customers.
There's a whole lot. I mean, especially the older generation of the town. If you've lived in the town from the 40s to the 80s, there was probably somebody in your family that worked for my great-grandfather, my grandfather, or my dad, or graduated with one of them. We've always been really local to everybody here, and my grandfather especially, he really reached out a lot to the community. So he had his hands in a lot of people's businesses, trying to help them get off the ground.
Right.
And 55 years perfect attendance to a local Rotary, so he was very passionate about that.
So the name Nelson is pretty much synonymous with this area, it seems.
Within our 1 mile by 1 mile little Royersford town, I would say,
for sure.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit more about how this place, what year was it that you guys opened the doors for the ice cream store?
It was 2012.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We started to take it over. We had to do a full renovation from the inside.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you said it was a bakery, right?
It was a bakery, yeah.
It was a bakery that after Steve passed away, his partner tried to continue running it, and then the baking kind of slowly trickled away. And then we took it over after that, and we had to change the whole. It just wasn't in my head. It wasn't how I pictured Nelson's ice cream.
Right.
I didn't get the feeling of our company, our brand, and our attitudes, out of the place. So myself and Amanda actually, we did it all by ourselves. So
wow.
I had one of my father's.
A lot of long nights, I'm sure.
Yeah.
All nights and days.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was stuck at home with our newborn, and I was here. I was actually truck driving while I was doing the renovation, so I was truck driving and then coming home, and I would be here all night.
Pretty much nothing in the store has not been touched.
Wow.
Everything,
That's crazy. I mean, I would imagine, the refrigeration, everything beyond, you were putting all of that in. And
everything that you can even think of. Every piece of wood that you see hanging up was cut, stained, and lacquered by us. Everything.
Oh my gosh.
Everything, like woodwork he did, and then I do all of the handwriting on the menu boards and everything like that.
Yeah, I would imagine that takes a while, because it's not just sketched on, chicken scratch like you see.
No, I hand write it all by myself.
All of our letters.
It's like almost 3-dimensional. So the way
a lot of love put into this store.
Yeah, our old window paint was hand painted and everything. It was everything.
Wow.
It was hand done.
Now, do you have a background in art to be able to sketch in such an accurate way with chalk? Because me with chalk, it's like crumbles in my hands.
No, it's just kind of like a hobby that I kind of picked up, and I love doing it. So I figured I have a great outlet to do it for the store. And every year I change up the boards because I get bored of it.
Yeah.
But I do all the artwork here. I do all the calligraphy and all that.
That's awesome. So it's cool to see. Yeah, I was gonna say that you had that interest before, and then the perfect marriage of the two things together. Because when you think of like an ice cream shop, like the chalkboard is really kind of like that old-fashioned
There's
throwback.
a lot of things that we did to make sure that this place, it's not an ice cream parlor, but we wanted to make it feel like an ice cream parlor.
Right.
We wanted it very bubbly and very bright and very family oriented.
And just kind of reminiscent of how things were.
Right.
Even like our soda fountain that we use back there, we don't pour out Coke or anything. take seltzer water and we mix it with syrup and we make your soda for you.
Oh, wow.
Or same thing with like a root beer float. We add the syrup and we put the seltzer water and we make your root beer for you.
Oh, that's awesome.
I mean, that soda fountain's actually out of my grandfather's basement. When my dad was growing up, that was in his basement, and that was a family thing. You know, we'd bring home kids from school and stuff, and all the kids would get sick to their stomach and making soda.
Yeah, so much syrup and seltzer.
You know, so I thought it was really cool when I knew that we had that it was important to have that in here just to make it feel.
It's like an heirloom almost.
Yeah. You know, and that's what's important to
us. A lot of
about
stuff in
it.
here are heirlooms, like the artwork on the walls are very old. They're from his grandfather.
Yeah, all the artwork is from the 40s and the 50s, and
oh wow,
irreplaceable. And that's particular sign's hand painted, and it's even like that old little windmill thing.
Yeah,
it's a little advertisement that they would give out to their
that's
things
crazy.
in the 40s.
Did you have to do anything to kind of preserve them, or are they laminated? Or anything?
No, they're not. They're actually as is. My father and
they
my
look pretty fresh for how old they are.
They took very particular care of them. They kept them all wrapped up, kept them all.
Almost as like they knew someday they were going to be needed in 2017.
They were pack rats.
That's
guys, and they saved every. It's amazing the amount of things that they have hidden away. It's just future purposes.
Right. So, as we talk about the decor, I have to ask, as an ignorant transplant to Royersford, what is Nix Besser? I probably not even how you pronounce it, but
yeah, that's it.
is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Which I see everywhere in the store. Nix Besser.
Nix Besser is an old family slogan. It's not just like our family slogan. We're Pennsylvania Dutch.
Okay.
And that means none better.
None better.
And so you'll see it. You won't just see it with us, but you'll see it like an old Pennsylvania Dutch root beer company.
Okay.
They have Nix Besser written. So it's something that you'll see throughout old school Pennsylvania. Especially up towards Lancaster or like more Amish country and stuff.
Sure.
But it's Pennsylvania Dutch, and it just means none better.
That's
and
cool.
it's just kind of always been associated with us since we made since we processed milk. It was just always kind of.
That's awesome.
Just Nix Besser.
Yeah. That's really
a lot of people ask if it's my name.
Yeah. Like it's very. I thought maybe it was like. So like a name, like a translation of the Nelson name or something. I didn't know.
He's got called Mr. Besser a couple times.
Oh yeah, Nix. It would be a cool way to write the name Nick if you put an X.
There's a lot of people that come in because we're so young looking, and like most people that would come in, they don't realize that we own the place.
Yeah. Be like, can you get the manager out here?
Yeah, there's been a couple like smart guys that come up and be like, oh, do you know what that means over there? I bet you don't. I'll be like. It's in my store, man. Of course I know what it means.
Yeah, I'm sure I would be tempted to play along a little bit just to feel like I would walk. I'd be like, oh yeah, sir, I'll go get the manager, sir. Then I'll just turn around. I'd be like, I'm the manager.
I did a couple times.
That's hilarious.
It depends what mood you're in.
Right. I'm sure it gets old pretty quick.
It also keeps it fun. Sometimes, I know personally myself when I walk around, go to a grocery store, people always like saying hi and call. So it's sometimes nice to be anonymous. Like when you're just having that day, you just want to keep your head down and serve with it, and you don't really want to have the whole spiel going on.
Right. Yeah. What flavors do you have today, sir?
Yeah, so.
Mr. Besser.
So it's sometimes nice, and sometimes you're just like, come on, man.
Yeah. So I would imagine that, being local, what has the response from the town been since you guys opened? Has it been pretty positive from day one, or was there a slow period of time where you were unsure about what was going on?
I think we're always unsure.
Yeah. Every business owner is, if they're honest.
Unsure, especially when it gets down to this time of year when it gets cold. We're kind of just like, oh my goodness, it's getting cold again. No one really wants ice cream when it's cold, but we're lucky to have such loyal customers and such a loyal fan base that people still come to us in the fall and in the winter time. So
do you have a different plan, that for off season? Do you guys do something different with the store? Or?
Over the years, we have done everything.
Yeah.
We've had a food truck. We've done chili. We did baked goods. We've done pretzels. We've done pizzas.
Yeah, we played around a lot with a lot of ideas.
We did everything, but at the end of the day, in our 1 mile by 1 mile town,
ice
you're
cream.
not leaving your house thinking about Nelson's for anything else but ice
But
cream.
ice cream, yeah.
That's true. Now, do you guys allow people to have parties here or do ice cream?
We've done a handful
catering
of birthday
parties. And stuff?
Whenever somebody thinks of us for an event like that, we're more than happy to try to accommodate whatever they want to do with it, whether it's buying the big cans or coming in for, we've done a handful of birthday parties in here in the mornings and stuff. We're happy to do anything like that, but as far as just making it through like slow seasons, we always say we want to be able to do what we do in any other town.
Right.
Our town, just because of how old we are here, people just love coming and crave the ice cream.
Right.
If it wasn't for Royersford, we wouldn't have a shirt on our back. This town pays for our life, you know?
Yeah, so we're very thankful for all of our customers and all of our support that we have from everybody, for sure.
Yeah.
Now, being a transplant yourself, you've been here for how long now?
10 years.
10 years. So I mean, I don't know what the cutoff is, but I think that she's a local.
I'm a local now.
That's why I'm doing this show, trying to kind of speed up that process of like feeling ingratiated in the community and that kind of thing. So. Yeah, I mean that's really cool how you just stated that. I mean, I think that goes miles and miles,
Yeah.
Even within the 1 square mile of Royersford, the fact that you see, a lot of times people can, think about, being in one spot for so long as like a burden or like, but the fact that you see the value that the town has provided to your family and that your family has provided to the town, and it's kind of like a reciprocal, is that the word? Reciprocal relationship, like giving and getting and receiving.
Yeah, I know. I kind of knew, like when I first met him, he told me he was always going to be an ice cream.
Yeah.
And I didn't think that we were going to have our own ice cream store 10 years later, but, very thankful, and I don't really see our life any different than what it is now, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's always been that way, I've never, we grew up, we lived, never wanted to leave the town even once, and we've, you always have those conversations at home where you're like, like, would you ever want to do something else, or babe, wouldn't it be nice to live up in the mountains or something? And it's like, I mean, that would be great, but I couldn't see myself ever, I couldn't see myself. I mean, it'd be nice to go away for a week, but we're just so, I get it from my dad and my grandfather. It's just inbred in me. Yeah. I just can't get out.
Just love being Royersfordians.
That's great. That's awesome. It's funny because I have no delusions of grandeur with this show, but at Wawa the other day, someone actually was like, "Hey, you do those SPRINGFORD videos?" And I was like, Yeah, I do. Like, it was the strangest, most bizarre experience ever. And I mean, I had seen the person before we had met, but he correlated the two together. So it wasn't like completely cold, but still, like it was like I can imagine that you kind of were like,
small town,
it could very easily be overwhelming to have that shadow hanging over you, but you seem to have kind of embraced it.
Oh, I love the town. I mean, you'll get that a lot. We're so small. People really recognize each other.
Right.
It doesn't take much to keep seeing that same guy. Like, oh, we keep coming into Wawa every day at 10 o'clock. Like, keep seeing that guy. Eventually, you're going to start saying hi to each other.
Right.
That's just kind of how the town always is. And
that's great.
If you ever get more embedded into the town, you'll find out like where the local watering holes are, like the Bocce Club, the Italian Club, the VFW, the Firehouse, and Tom's. You walk into those places and it's literally like Cheers. Like you walk in, every single person around there knows every single person sitting there, and everybody knows who's walking in the door and who their parents were. And that's amazing. If somebody walks in from out of town, every single person knows that this is the first time that they're inside that bar.
Wow.
I don't know. There's not a lot of places that I can see.
Not anymore, that's for sure. I'm sure, like you being from South Philly, like that's like a totally different experience.
Oh yeah.
Just
really
having
different.
that. I noticed that when we came and looked at the house, where like we stopped at a store and people looked me in the eye and said hello, and I grew up in Northeast Philly, and like that doesn't happen. It's just a different culture. Like people are too busy about their own business to pay attention to the people around you. And then I come here and people are all too eager to engage with you, which is awesome.
Which is all very heartwarming and all very friendly, and
Amanda did have a learning curve.
I did have a very big learning curve, yes.
That's funny.
Very big learning curve.
Even as I'm young, but even from my childhood, the town is nothing like it was.
I'm sure.
It's blown up incredibly. So even, I'm so happy that the amount of it's changed, that we still have some of those nice features about the town. We still kind of have that comfort around here.
Right.
It used to be, Main Street was a dead-end street. I mean, it was almost literally like squared off little community that we had.
Wow.
And they didn't, once they started building Wawa and built the Giant and stuff down there, that's when they actually opened up Main Street. Walnut Street was the only way in and out of town.
Oh, really?
That would take you down to Township Line Road, down to Ridge Pike. But
wow.
I mean, Main Street was a dead end road. The main
That's
street was
crazy.
dead
I didn't
end,
know
so,
that. Yeah, that's amazing.
It was always a nice little town, and I'm happy after it's changed and blew up that we still kind of have that same.
Well, I would say that's exactly what attracted my wife and I here, was the fact that it's the marriage of small town, but you still can get to things
Everything.
that you're not moving up to the Poconos.
Everything
like that,
you ever want, you can get to. I mean,
yeah, everything's 10 minutes away, but you're also in this little like hamlet of a town.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I love it.
yeah, it's a really nice place to be.
So-
I recommend it for anybody that's trying to like grow a family, or it feels safe inside the town. Because it is safe inside the town. You know, you don't find a lot of places like it.
Yeah, that's for sure. So this is a great conversation, guys. Thank you so much. As we wrap up, why don't you let people know how they can find out more information about Nelson's Ice Cream Store, your Facebook page, all that kind of social media website, whatever you want to
Well, pretty
share.
much the only thing that we run is our Facebook page, which is Nelson's Ice Cream Store, and also Instagram. So
Okay.
those are the two outlets that you can find us, where we post pictures, we post up the flavor of the week, we post up the hours whenever they change, any promotions or anything like that we have. Facebook and Instagram. is where
Okay,
you'll
I'll
find
make
us.
sure that I link those in the bottom of the video so people can click out to them and definitely check you guys
Right,
out.
perfect.
So Amanda, Patrick, Fitzgerald looks real comfy now. He's falling asleep. Oh, where else can you watch a baby fall asleep other than on Discover Springford, everybody? But no, thank you guys so much for making the time.
It was a
I
pleasure.
really appreciate it.
Lovely.
And we've been in here several times. We just haven't met. But we'll continue to be coming out,
Awesome.
for
We
sure.
appreciate it.
Make sure that we stop during the winter too, because we know that you guys appreciate that. But please come on down, even if you might just crank the heat up in your house so that you're sweating, and then come get some ice cream. All right? But thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. That wraps up our time today on Discover Springford. I want to thank Patrick and Amanda for taking time out of their day to allow me to interview them. And I also want to thank their son, Fitzgerald, for being so well behaved. That kid's going to be a star. And I like to think I had something to do with it. Until next time, get out there and discover what makes the Springford area a great place to live, work, eat, and explore.